Hi everyone, on today's video, since this will be our last video of the year, I'm going to talk about what happened in immigration in 2020 and how that will impact US immigration as we move into 2021. My name is Mejer. I'm an immigration attorney in New Jersey who has clients all over the US and in other parts of the world. I was an immigrant who came to the US as a child. My family was the victim of immigration fraud, and it took me over 2 decades to become a US citizen. My goal is to help people like me so they don't have the same stress and frustration that my family had in achieving our immigration dreams. If you're struggling to get the status you want, call us. We've often been able to help clients who were referred by other attorneys when the other attorneys said they couldn't do anything more. Now let's talk about what has happened in immigration in the US in 2020. We have covered many of these things already, and some are on hold due to court decisions. So I'm not going to cover those. I want to discuss the top 3 issues that I think will have a big impact on many people, perhaps for years to come. First, we have a new citizenship test. This is not unusual. The test is usually updated every 10 years, and this one took 2 years extra, so it took 12 years to make these changes. But the way the questions were written is different, and the amount of questions required to be answered was doubled from 6 correct questions out of 10 questions asked to 12 questions answered correctly out of 20 questions asked. The doubling of the questions may increase the number of failures of the test. You can take the test twice, so don't let the change keep you from applying to become a US citizen. If you've watched any of my videos before, I'm sure you've heard me say that becoming a citizen ASAP is the best choice you can make to protect you and your family. There are free practice citizenship tests. I don't know if the Biden administration will try to change the test. Frankly, with the number of fires they are going to be putting out when they get into office, that is probably one of the less important issues for them to address. Changes to work authorization for asylum recipients is the second item. This one is big. Why? Because this new practice doesn't allow asylum recipients to apply for work authorization until 365 days after their application is received by USCIS. That means that they must survive in the US without a job or income for over a year. As I said earlier, work authorization is taking up to 6 months to process. So add in the processing time, and that is 1.5 years that the asylum applicant must live in the US without income. I don't know about you, but that would be difficult for me to survive if I left my country fearing for my life and safety. I likely came with nothing, and then I can't work. This is something that the Biden administration should address, and they should address it quickly. I also hope that he increases the available visas for asylum seekers, which was reduced to only 15,000 under the Trump administration. New policy guidelines for immigration officers is the third subject. New policy guidelines for immigration officers to decide adjustment of status cases and determine if an interview is required. This also is a big one. Why? Because it makes the decision making more discretionary, meaning subjective, which may lead to decisions being less consistent. USCIS themselves have said that the new criteria will likely result in more interviews being necessary for I-485 and adjustment of status applications, meaning green card applications. Since we just talked about how long processing times are taking, imagine how much it could be, how much longer it might take if immigration officers are using their own feelings to decide a case and more interviews are required. I want to explain this one a little bit more, even though I've talked about this before. In the past, USCIS had discretion to decide if a person should be granted an adjustment of status, if a person should get their green card. So just like being able to support yourself as an immigrant, it is nothing new. However, the discretionary part, meaning what the officer thought or felt, was rarely exercised. If a person met the statutory and regulatory requirements, they were almost always approved. What has been added is that after the officer determines if the person meets the statutory and regulatory requirements, officers have a list of issues and factors that they may consider under USCIS policy to determine if a positive outcome should be made, meaning if the green card should be awarded. They include things like community and business ties to the US, employment history, immigration status, and most concerning, there is an other catch-all category. USCIS officers now must determine if the positive factors outweigh the negative factors before approving an application. Now, this is after they've met all the statutory requirements. There's still this weighing of, well, does this person really deserve it? The Biden administration should address this one as soon as possible. This one could negatively impact many immigrants who have gone through a year or more long process to adjust their status and then are denied because the officer thinks they don't have a strong enough ties to the community or under some impossible to define other category. There should be a fair and consistent application of the rules and regulations allowing people to immigrate legally to our country who must meet certain criteria. Those criteria should be clear and transparent for all. Decisions like this that impact a person for life should not be made based on a feeling or whim of the deciding officer. I'll be talking more about what changes President-elect Biden should make, might make, and has made in the U.S. immigration in the coming weeks and months. If you want to be up to date on U.S. immigration, be sure to like our videos when you watch them as they help others to see them. Subscribe to our page, and if you are on YouTube, hit the bell so that you'll get a notification of any new videos we upload. If you found value in this video, please share it with others. It means the world to us. We appreciate your comments and your support. Happy New Year. We hope it's a better one for all of us than 2020 was. Stay healthy and be well.